You're granted the ability to go back in time and witness one event from history. What do you witness? The Battle of Alesia. This was not a battle that Caesar should have won. Extremely outnumbered and completely surrounded, the mad lad builds a wall around Alesia to keep them in, and a wall around the wall to keep the reinforcement out. The story of Alesia seems right to me, to be honest. I feel like we really do know what happened. I would choose Canny, I guess. This is the one that seems too good to be true to me. Did Hannibal really came up with this masterwork of a plan and execution? Or did the Romans at least partially made up his genius to cover their own faults? Maybe the surrounding of the entire Roman army happened partially by accident. Hannibal just saw an opportunity and took it. And the most important question of them all, why didn't he march on Rome afterwards? The reason Hannibal didn't march on Rome afterward was he couldn't win the siege. Rome had walls and could still summon a strong garrison. Hannibal needed to constantly move to live off the land because he had too long of a logistics chain. Logistics so rarely gets mentioned in general discussion of medieval battles, despite it being, like, the main driver of what battles even occurred and why. If you really look into the history of battles and sieges, almost every account will tell you about the logistics. Logistics win wars. They're just not as fun to talk about in pop history Reddit comments. The meteor that killed the Dinos. Plot twist. The act of time travel caused the explosion/heat wave that destroyed the dinosaurs. I love this. Man. A lot of you guys want to watch people die. There used to be a subreddit for that, but it got shut down. So now they have to live out those fantasies here. Say what you want, but WPD made me extremely cautious of Chinese escalators and Brazilian off-duty cops. The moment that Spartacus turned against Rome, or the HMS Victoria's first broadside of the Battle of Trafalgar, HMS Royal Sovereign, Vice Admiral Collingwood's flagship, was the first British ship to pierce the enemy line at Trafalgar, and fought alone for close to 20 minutes. Watching from the Victory and the van of the other column, Nelson is said to have pointed at the Sovereign, surrounded by 3 or 4 enemy ships. Guns blazing, she mauled the Spanish admiral's flagship so badly she was practically sinking before any other British guns came to bear, and said with a definite touch of envy, "See how that noble fellow Collingwood carries his ship into action." At probably the same moment or shortly after, Collingwood is said to have commented dryly to his flag captain, "What would Nelson give to be here?" That is a moment that would be just as awesome to witness. May I offer you a counterfact? Victoria's 62-pound carronades, and probably those of the Royal Sovereign and other first-raters by the sound of things, were loaded with 2 rounds of solid shot and 500 musket balls each when they raked the enemy as they broke the line. They were getting raked for the better part of an hour without being able to fire back. They wanted those first return broadsides to hurt. My grandpa's funeral. My parents didn't want me to go because I would be too loud and cry so much. Jokes on them. He gave me his secret recipe to his chocolate milk and his special hat, which he wore to everywhere, and my parents were jealous. I don't blame them. What the fuck? They didn't let you go to your own grandfather's funeral? Pretty fucked up if he's older than like 10 years old, but makes sense if he's like 4 or younger. The in-between is up for debate. I was the only kid that was 10 and wouldn't even cry. I was very sad when they announced him dead, but didn't cry because I knew he was a better place. Watch the pyramids get built or ask the Stonehenge builders why they did it. We did it for the lulz. Fucking shrooms were lit, bro. It just occurred to me that before the internet and such, people probably accidentally ate magic mushrooms from time to time and thought they were dying. People believe that monkeys had psilocybin and it caused evolution to humans to begin. I'd go on the Apollo 11 and watch Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin walk on the moon. In addition to that, grade them there and ask for their visa. Welcome to glorious Arstotzka moon colony. Papers please. Welcome to Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino. We're whalers on the moon. Einstein's last words. So that they don't get lost, edit. I'm from Germany. I never failed math. It's true though. The grading system back then went backwards, so a 5 would be the worst and 1 would be the best, so it was a common misconception that he failed. Completion of the first pyramid. I was going to reply to this general post with watching the pyramids be built. I want to know who actually did the work during the time period where they question if it was slaves, mostly Jews, or if it was Egyptians who loved their pharaohs. Likely was not slaves, but farmers during flood season, and scribes/artisans. The extinction of dinosaurs. Bring a sturdy umbrella. Also probably immunity to several diseases that died out with them. Otherwise RIPU. A. It's relatively unlikely that those diseases are adapted to human biology. Fingers crossed. The descent of DB Cooper, so I can see where he landed. Same here. And to see if that 1xKCD is right and he's Tommy Wiseau. Aha. What a story you/revolution are Orwells. So anyway, how's your sex life? August 19th. 2004. Google's initial public offering took place on August 19th, 2004. A total of 19,605.05 shares were offered at a price of $85 per share. That's the day to invest big. Or go back and find that guy who sold his 10% share in Apple for $800 and buy it. It's worth about $100. 0.0000000 today. It would be a lot less after dilution of his stocks. I'm willing to lose a few of those zeros. A company was then chosen by the battalion's commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel John Dutton Frost, to lead the 2nd Parachute Battalion in the Battle of Arnhem, part of Operation Market Garden. Because of Digby's reputation of being an aggressive commander, in preparation Digby, concerned about the unreliability of radios, educated his men on how to use bugle calls that had been used during the Napoleonic Wars for communication in case the radios failed. He also took an umbrella with his kit as a means of identification because he had trouble remembering passwords and felt that anyone who saw him with it would think that only a bloody fool of an Englishman would carry an umbrella into battle. A company were dropped away from the target of Arnhem Bridge and had to go through Arnhem where the streets were blocked by German forces. Digby led his men through the back gardens of nearby houses instead of attempting to advance through the streets and thus avoided the Germans. Digby and a company managed to travel 8 miles in 7 hours while also taking prisoner 150 German soldiers including members of the SS. During the battle, Digby wore his red beret instead of a helmet and waved his umbrella while walking about the defenses despite heavy mortar fire. When the Germans started using tanks to cross the bridge, Digby led a bayonet charge against them wearing a bowler hat. He later disabled a German armored car with his umbrella, incapacitating the driver by shoving the umbrella through the car's observational slit and poking the driver in the eye. Digby then noticed the chaplain pinned down by enemy fire while trying to cross the street to get to injured soldiers. Digby got to him and said, "Don't worry about the bullets. I've got an umbrella." He then escorted the chaplain across the street under his umbrella. When he returned to the front line, one of his fellow officers said about his umbrella that thing won't do you any good. To which Digby replied, "Oh my goodness, Pat. But what if it rains?" Digby was later injured by shrapnel, which also cut open the rear of his trousers, but continued to fight until a company had run out of ammunition. Despite the radios being unreliable as Digby had predicted and the bugle calls being used most in the battle, the message "out of ammo, God save the king" was radioed out before Digby was captured. Because of his injury, Digby was sent to St. Elizabeth's Hospital, but escaped out of a window with his second-in-command Captain Tony Frank when the German nurses had left them alone. After creating an escape compass from buttons on his uniform, Digby and Frank headed towards Merindel. Upon arriving, they were hidden by a Dutch woman who spoke no English before being put in contact with her neighbor. He disguised them as painters and moved them to Dirk Wildeboa's house. Wildeboa was a local leader of the Dutch resistance in Ede. They then met Menno de Nooy of the Dutch resistance who gave them a bicycle. Wildeboa had a fake Dutch identity card made for Digby to allow him to pose as Peter Jensen. A deaf mute son of a lawyer. Digby used the bicycle to visit fellow soldiers in hiding, and the Germans did not recognize him despite him helping to push a Nazi staff car out of a ditch and German soldiers being billeted in the same house that he was staying in. Digby then gathered 150 escaped soldiers to head towards the front line. This was known as Operation Pegasus. Digby and the soldiers cycled to the Rhine and Digby flashed a V for victory sign using Morse code with his torch. Members of 30 Corps then ferried them across the river. Upon return to the United Kingdom, Digby was awarded the Distinguished Service Order. How or why that story has never been committed to film is frankly beyond me. That's the best damn thing I've read in some time. I would happily pay to see this story translated to film. Thank you for sharing. Who really shot JFK? How many times do you get to see it? If only once. What vantage point do you want? See it once. From the book depository. Hide Oswald's rifle before he comes up. If there's still shots, I know something is up. Have you read 11/22/63 by Stephen King? Or the Hulu adaptation with James Franco? My dad murdered my mom when I was a toddler and then killed himself. I'd like to go back and see the last happy moments I spent with both of them, since I cannot remember either. Eater, I know this isn't an event from history necessarily, but it is the only reason I'd time travel. Jesus Christ, I thought my answer was fucked up. Interview the sea people about their origin and the reason for the Bronze Age collapse. Or ask the builders of Stonehenge what exactly is going on. What are they doing? What are their beliefs, etc. Or ask the people at the Battle of Talents why they are fighting. Equinox at Stonehenge after its completion would be interesting. So, why are you all here? Big Bang. This ship will not survive the formation of the cosmos. Apostrophe. 1945, end of the war. Street parties. Dancing and loved ones being reunited. The Library of Alexandria. I would not let it burn. I can save you the effort. It only burned down a little and was immediately rebuilt. Ironically, it was then downsized into non-existence while scholars were slowly driven away, which I guess is even more depressing. Queen at Live Aid. Watched it on TV. Good choice. I did too, and it's one of two moments I remember from Live Aid. The other being Phil Collins playing on 2 continents. My friends and I stayed up for 3 days, I think, watching MTV Air the whole thing. That was a great weekend. Right now, I'm actually from the future, and I'm doing my thesis on the Dark Ages second. The apocalyptic boogaloo. We really don't have a good understanding of exactly why things just went totally blank for 5 centuries and civilization had a hard reboot. No records of this era survived. Oh yeah. We are trying to turn it off and on again. Did it work? Yes and no. You'll definitely turn things off. But it wasn't until the lizard people, actually, they are time traveling dinosaurs from a parallel dimension, woke up from hibernation, that recorded history started back up. Always with the reptilians. Can't let a grey get any glory. Gautama Buddha's first talk post enlightenment. Oh, this is a good one. Dude, everything's shit. German reunification. I would love to see families reunite and feeling the vibes of hope. Ah, the night everyone got laid. The Challenger disaster. It happened on the day I was born. Edit. I have seen the footage. I meant in the sense of being old enough to remember it happening. Like coming home from school and watching what happened on 9/11 all over the news. It sort of hits differently. I remember that day. It wasn't that great. D-Day. Not for the carnage or the brutality of that battle, but to truly know what those men had to face on those beaches. It seems like one of the most insane moments in history. To see those men bring a victory like that would be incredible to see. I get the desire, but you would probably never be the same after having to see it for real. I kind of want that, if that makes sense. How many men were never the same after that battle? 18-year-old kids going out there scared as all hell. I think we'd all appreciate their sacrifice even more if we could see it with our own eyes. Yeah, right, EK, if you want to wish PTSD on yourself for real though. Pink Floyd playing live. Pre-DSOTM preferably. I've seen them 3 tours starting with The Wall, Fuck you, I'm old, but would love to have seen them in about 1970 to 71. Definitely the building of the pyramids. Babe Ruth calling his shot. Wedding of Edward the Confessor. I get to see old Winchester Cathedral before the Normans demolish it. And the huge insane Godwinson family all lined up to watch their sister marry the king. Frankly, I hope to be safely invisible with that lot in the room. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more videos.